All
Welcome to
right.
the Youth Voice, a podcast giving young people a voice in politics across the island of Ireland. So today's a bit of a special episode. A year ago today, the Youth Voice podcast and blog started. We started off with our first interview with Naomi Long, and since then we've interviewed figures from nearly all of the parties on the island. I think after today, the only party left will be the TUV. So, I suppose we can guess why that is. But I suppose we're joined today by Rachel Woods, MLA for North Down of the Green Party. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
I suppose we'll get straight in. You have a private members bill coming through. Very exciting time, having a bill come through could make some serious change. So do you want to explain, I suppose, to the viewers what your bill hopes to achieve?
Yes, no problem at all. Really good time actually to ask me about this because it just came through the second stage in the Assembly on Monday. So really happy to see that have passed then. But my bill is called it's private members bill. So private members bill called Domestic Abuse Safe Leave Bill. And what that seeks to do is introduce 10 days paid leave from work if you've been a victim or survivor of domestic abuse. So that would be in as a day one, right? So you wouldn't need to have worked for a company or somebody for, say 6 months or 3 months or anything before you were entitled to it. So like as soon as you start work, that's your entitlement. And it would be a minimum of 10 days. So say your employer wanted to give you 11 days or 12 days a year, that would be fine as well. So that's what we're hoping to do. And it would be full pay. So there wouldn't be, like statutory pay or anything less than that. So that is what we have. We brought that legislation on, and say it passed the second stage debate on Monday, which meant the MLAs in the chamber debated the principles of the bill. So not the details, just the overarching principles of the bill were debated. And I'm glad to say that it passed unanimously. So it now goes to the committee, and it goes to the Committee for the Economy. Because I look after workers' rights and employees' rights here in Northern Ireland. So that is they're going there to scrutinise it and then hopefully bring it back in a couple of months' time. And then it'll hopefully pass by the end of the Assembly mandate before the Assembly is dissolved. But I have plenty of faith in them to be able to scrutinise it. It's a very simple bill. It's only 5 clauses. So it's not this huge bill with loads of different details and minutiae in it. We framework bill for the department to put regulations in the future. So fingers crossed it comes back in the same way it is at the moment, and looking forward to that becoming law.
Well, I suppose if it's passed unanimously so far, it can only, I suppose, mean good things. So it's good to hear that.
But no, absolutely. It was really good. I was obviously had to do a lot of discussions with political parties as well. But, we had, I worked a lot on last year as a member of the Justice Committee, the Domestic Abuse Act. So we were already very familiar with needs and support mechanisms that we should be doing about victims and survivors of domestic abuse. So I think this is just another way of the Assembly showing by supporting this bill about how important we are taking domestic abuse, because it is an epidemic across our society and we need to do a whole lot more to tackle it.
And I suppose there has been threats to pull the Assembly down from, I suppose, really across the political spectrum at the moment. Whether it's about the protocol, whether it's about Irish language, the Assembly appears unstable to outside lookers. But what does that mean? I know your party has 3 private members' bills, including yours, if I'm correct. What does that mean for private members' bills and people who are trying to bring through legislation that could be really key to making Northern Ireland a better place? So what does that actually mean for your bill if we are in a situation where there is instability, to say the least, when it comes to the Assembly?
Well, I think we're all used to a wee bit of instability here now. I think that's just the common, that's actually our most thing that we have in common is instability, and it's quite stable, the level of instability. So but in terms of the actual threats to collapse Stormont, I actually think it's just disgusting. People here deserve so much better than that, and I do believe that the continuous threatening of collapsing the government is not serving anybody well. And obviously the DUP have a threat to collapse all the devolved institutions, and I'm not then engaging on an all-island basis as well, and not going to meetings, not signing off on agendas. And as you say, the impact of this is not just on legislation that myself and Claire are bringing, and we do have 3 private members' bills in the system, mine on paid leave for victims in domestic abuse, Claire's is on safe access zones, but also the cross-party climate change bill. That would all fall if the institutions fell. But not just that, we're also legislating on things like extending the terminal illness criteria, as it were, in certain social security benefits. We haven't closed the loopholes on welfare reform yet. That's a bill that's coming through. It's not just the impact on private members legislation, but actually it's impacting people's day-to-day lives. And this is our job. Our job is to legislate and get on with changing society in Northern Ireland for the better. And having these continued threats, for me as well, whenever I got involved in politics and these threats to pull down the institutions, and then the institutions fell for so long as well, you just lose faith in it. And I actually do believe in these institutions. Yes, we do need to change them. There's certain things that have to change, of course, but I do believe in the merit of having devolved institutions here in Northern Ireland, and by continually, it just undermines it, and it means people do lose faith, and I can completely understand why. But it wouldn't just be for the future of Stormont or future of ourselves, myself and Claire, but this is about the future of people. We have to deal with health, we have to deal with housing, we have to deal with climate, we have to deal with everything that's our job to deal with. And if they go, they go, and who knows what's going to happen. But I just find it very, very unfair that this continues to be, you're kind of like dangled a little carrot and then beaten with a big stick. It's not okay. That doesn't happen in other governments, and we need to move on from that now. It's quite childish, to be honest.
And I suppose it is, Stormont there's a lot of PMBs at the minute. There's quite a lot of quite transformative legislation going through, but on the ones that yourself and Claire have put forward, the climate bill is revolutionary, to say the least. It is. It seems to be getting a lot of cross-party support, bit of opposition from the Environment Minister, Edwin Poots, but it seems to be getting a lot of support right across the political spectrum outside of the DUP and TUV. But on that bill, what essentially are the kind of the key points of that bill, and what do those kind of mean for Northern Ireland?
Yeah, no worries. Well, as you say, it is a cross-party bill. So it has, yes, Claire is the lead sponsor, so she is leading and taking that forward. But it is also co-sponsored by, I should say, every other political party, and also the independent MLAs and PPP, bar Jim Allister and Alex Easton, I believe, as well, haven't signed up onto it. But the DUP and them are the only ones that haven't come and given the support on it. But the main objectives of the climate bill, and you'll be aware there's 2 climate bills now in the system, but this is climate number 1 bill, and that's to achieve net zero by 2045. And then it also means that Northern Ireland is going to become climate resilient, because that's a really important part of dealing with climate breakdown, and also to achieve an environmentally sustainable economy. So it requires the executive to bring forward what's called climate action plans, and that's within 3 years of the bill becoming law, and then every 5 years after, and there will be interim targets in that set. So we need to know where we're going to, how we're going to get there, and then also if we've made it or not, and that's for every sector. And it crucially has a just transition as the foundation of it. So that means as we transition away from fossil fuels and go into a net zero economy, that people are not left behind. So we're dealing with inequalities as well, which are rife in our society, as we know. And that would be in loads of different sectors. Obviously, energy is a really crucial one, and we need to get 100% renewables. The energy strategy has been developed, and we need, things like community-owned energy. We need a ban on fracking. We need just, all this information that people can have about how they transition away. But that, it needs to come structurally from government. The same with transport, how we get about, how we move, cleaning up our air, making sure active travel is the priority, and in industry as well. And that's where your just transition comes in, and as well as agriculture, and moving away towards cleaner industry and greener industry, and just doing things a whole lot better for the climate.
Absolutely. And also there is, I think, before we finish off on PMBs, there's also the Safe Access Zones bill.
Yeah.
So what does that do for, I suppose, what does it actually do?
So Claire's bringing this really important bill, and it passed second stage a couple of weeks ago. And don't ask me for the exact date because I cannot remember. But it's gone to the Health Committee, and this bill is to protect women and girls from continuous harassment, because that's what it is. And it proposes the establishment of safe access zones, and that's what the bill is called. It's PMB, Safe Access Zones, Abortion Services Safe Access Zones, and that's around registered pregnancy advisory bureau, the clinics, hospitals, and that's where most of the anti-abortion harassment and intimidation takes place. So the bill is bringing a prohibition on that. And we know that there's been an escalation of anti-abortion activity and associated harassment outside it in recent years. Claire has experienced that firsthand. I as well have experienced it, just simply going for a meeting and getting intimidated and harassed. And we've heard of horror stories of women, running into traffic to get away from people. And we wouldn't tolerate that outside a GP surgery or Boots chemist. This is something that's seriously damaging people. And it's not about closing down a debate on abortion. I know everybody's got different opinions on it, but this is about women accessing healthcare advice and healthcare services. So there was some specific issues raised at the second stage. It's just about, where would be a zone, what constitutes it, how large is it, and so on. And all of those things will be worked out at the Health Committee and then brought back into the Assembly for the final debate stages. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the committee do with that. And I know Claire's very open to working with them and has been since they've got that bill. So another one that we're hoping to get passed by the end of the mandate. I'm really looking forward to that.
So I suppose 3 quite transformative bills, really kind of getting to grips with the everyday lives of ordinary people.
Yeah.
But I suppose one other big issue group in the Assembly at the minute is integrated education. I know there was quite a gripping article in The Guardian about it recently. I think it won an award today. But also Kelly Armstrong's brought forward her bill. It has faced massive, I suppose, both scrutiny. There's been anger from one side of the community, a lot of support from others. It has been quite controversial almost, I suppose. The Green Party has quite a good relationship with integrated education, Claire Bailey being one of the original students at Lagan. So I suppose, what is, your take on the whole situation with integrated education?
Oh, well, we're big supporters of integrated education. We always have been. And as you say, Claire was one of the first students to go to Lagan. And yeah, we've been strong supporters of it. And I'm actually currently assisting a number of parents in my own constituency in North Down on their quest to integrate their local primary schools. So it's something that I work on as a constituency level and then fully support at the Assembly. So we were very much looking forward to Kelly's bill becoming law, and I've engaged with her on it and thank her for bringing it forward. But we believe that schools should be integrated as standard. We shouldn't have this division of schools and division of people and division of young people. And we have, I think it's only 7% of Northern Ireland's children attend integrated schools. And that's not okay. And we know from academic research, we know from experience on the ground as well, that integrated education reduces prejudice, it increases children's understanding of diversity and improves community relationships. So, I mean, we're big fans, but we need to spend less money dividing our children, and we could spend a whole lot more money on educating them and then everybody getting a very good education rather than what we have now is duplication, and first of all, but we don't need to be doing that, and children should be educated in their communities and get the best possible education for everybody. So yeah, big fans of integrated education, and we'll keep plugging away at it.
I think one of the most interesting parts of Kelly's bill has to be the fact that it wasn't just bringing Catholic and Protestant students together, or Catholic, Protestant and other students. It wasn't just about religion. It was also about class. It was about ability. And I suppose that is, one of the most interesting parts of the bill. I mean, in my opinion, I know I watched parts of it at the committee and that kind of thing. But a lot of people are saying Northern Ireland isn't ready. Parts of Northern Ireland, obviously, there isn't access to integrated education. I know in kind of South Armagh, where I'm from, integrated education doesn't exist. So do Do you think that NI isn't ready, or is that just kind of the attitude from some more conservative figures?
I think Northern Ireland's been ready for a very long time. It's certainly, I would love to have gone to an integrated school, but there wasn't one when I was going to primary school. Both my cousins went to an integrated primary school. We now have there's two integrated schools in Hollywood where I live. There's calls for integrated schools all over my constituency. And that's just my experience here. But I think we've seen an increase in support for integrated education. And I do think that if we actually really listen to people on the ground and what they want, it's a wee bit different to what's been said elsewhere. So I know that the Integrate My School campaign, I work with them really closely. They do a lot of surveys, and just the huge amount of parents that are coming forward going, yes, we would like the school integrated. Yet it's that gap. Why are they're wanting it integrated and then it's not happening? So it's bridging that gap and getting those conversations started and getting them, to follow through. So, and even just on Kelly's bill, you're saying about, it's not just one side of the community to the other. It's because we don't have that anymore. It hasn't been like that either. We had multiple communities. There's multiple others. There's multiple identities in Northern Ireland. And the sooner that we get away from this us and them and the differences in the two communities, because that's not real life. So I think whenever you actually drill down into local areas and talk to people, they are very, very supportive, and certainly I am. And I know most of my friends that are having children now want their children to go to integrated schools. They don't want to be sending their kids to that school based on religion or anything else. They just want to make sure that their children have a really, really good education and have opportunities in life. And that is what we should be talking about, rather than, is it integrated or is it not? It's like, is this every school just should be a good school for my child to go to if it's in my local area? And that, I think, is just, that's where we need to be. And I think that's where most people in Northern Ireland actually want it to go.
Absolutely. I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, and happy birthday for tomorrow.
Thank you. To all of our listeners, thank you so much for listening to this one. But as always, thank you so much for the support we've had over the last year on both the podcast and the blog, on our live events. Thank you to everyone who has shared us, given us any kind of support at all. And it means so much to me. This has been my passion project for the last year. It's done so much for me and I've really enjoyed it. Now here's to the next year. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you all next time. I've been Dermot.